Okay, and excuse me. On the post, quote, Dave's giant plush purple crayon, unquote. Anonymous posted, hey, I know this is a long shot, but I have an identical crayon plush if anyone is willing to email me at olsonally5502 at gmail.com. I'd like to buy the one Dave owns. Matt says, well, Dave, want to make some money? I'm, as Mick Jagger once said, I'm open for offers. I'm not up for grabs, but I'm open for offers. Maybe we could work out a trade. You get this purple crayon plush, and I get yours. Um, how much is the shipping on that? It's not a small crayon. It's probably a good 2.5 feet long, and why just what Rolly alone would charge for wrapping the thing, I wouldn't even hazard to guess. But as I say, uh, I'm open for offers. I'm not up for grabs, but I am open for offers. And then we get to April C, also known as at creative underscore Faye. Heidi ho, my good northeastern neighbor Dave, and the guy who forgot my email, Matt. Uh, I hope you are having a blessed religious observance. Did you get the voicemail I sent thanking you for the second package and the recreation you made? Yes, I did. If not, I want to thank you again for signing my Spawn 10 and making a recreation of the birthday drawing I made you. I framed it, and right now it's sitting atop my bookshelf on my mountain of Cerebus. Issue 1 of the phone books is currently in my friend's possession to read, and I am currently reading Guy's, so it's not on Mount Cerebus right now. Duly noted. I'll try to be better about not commenting on things in a please hold from a few years ago. Hee hee. That said, I didn't know that about Taylor Swift, and as a creator, I can respect getting your rights to your work back. Um, I do read any articles about Taylor Swift in the various newspapers I get. Um, Most recently, and this isn't in the category of um, creators' rights or anything like that. This is just, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that about Taylor Swift. Uh, Her comments about why she wouldn't do the Super Bowl halftime show were interesting. That it would be just too strange to perform the halftime show when her fiance was playing. Um, I remember the specific quotes from the article, quote, violent chess, unquote, and quote, warfare without weapons, unquote, which I suspect she was getting from fiance Travis, probably early on in the relationship. How do you explain football to a chanteuse who probably has never seen a football game? And violent chess and warfare without weapons, that probably sums it up pretty good. But in terms of her reasoning, it had a kind of, quote, those were the days, unquote, quality to it. If you're not really old like me, you probably don't remember the song, Those Were the Days. We'd fight and never lose, for we were young and sure to have our way. She'll probably still be Taylor Swift and halftime show plausible, at least for the next 4 years or so. I would suspect that Travis Kelce might have already reached his tight end best before date. No one ever seems to know when they are reenacting A Star is Born, which is kind of sad. So I'll leave that at that. The video in question from last Please Hold wasn't uploaded by Matt, but was a YouTube link shared by someone on the Facebook group. Before I share what it was about, I already found the answer to the question on the blog site. You went in depth on the subject matter, which was about the falling out between you and Jeff Smith. I might be biased, but Jeff seems like a weasel in that whole situation. I've read Reed's and I saw nothing that would embarrass his wife. It seemed observational. I found Reed's a great exploration of ideas. Okay, I'll comment on that, or tentatively say I will comment on that. But that's going to require a little elaboration on your part, April. In terms of when you say Jeff seems like a weasel in that whole situation, well, I know what I mean by a weasel when I refer to that as a guy and as a baby boomer. Particularly, I use the specific term in Strange Death of Alex Raymond, and as what I see as the relationship between Milt Caniff and Milt Caniff, I assume having the view that Alex Raymond was a weasel. But you're a Generation X feminist, so that's a whole different kettle of fish. So if you could clarify what you mean as a Generation X feminist, what you mean by the term weasel relative to Jeff Smith, we will revisit this when you get back to me on that one. In my Bible reading, I am now up to Chronicles 2. I am still on the fence about your theory of YHWH, but there are parts where that theory makes sense. I still have a lot of research ahead of me before I see which is true, but I am seeing patterns and echoes in the scripture, like Genesis 19 and Judges 19, which, interesting enough, I just realized had the same chapter number. Yeah, it's funny how often that happens once you start talking about these things. But the specific instance I want to highlight is both had a group of men wanting the stranger. Judges 19:20 answered one of the questions from Genesis 40 when Jacob talked about Benjamin being a raven wolf, and it also connected to Rachel's theft of her father's idols, because the children of Benjamin protected the sons of Belial and went up against Israel, which is one example of many. I'll leave you to it to keep seeing what you're seeing, and thank you for keeping an open mind about what it is that I see. I would point out that any time that Benjamin comes up, to me it's definitely you have the elder and the younger, God being the elder being and YHWH being the younger being, or in the YHWH's view, YHWH is the elder being and God is the younger being. In which case, the 12 tribes of Israel constitute a spectrum between eldest and younger. Eldest and youngest, and elder and younger, one step at a time. Reuben being the eldest son, and Benjamin being the youngest son. So that I think is the reason that Saul was chosen out of the tribe of Benjamin to be the first king in Israel. Um, because it's going to be the Lord's anointed, the YHWH is anointed. Um, uh, no, no, no mucking around about it. We're going right to the youngest tribe, and that's Benjamin. Right before your weekly update sharing Vark of God, Aaron showed the photocopy of the piece you were doing on graybeards. The guys were impressed. I'm afraid, antique that I am, I don't know what graybeards is, but massive thumbs up. Thank you. Anytime I get appreciation anywhere, I'm very, very grateful. I found the Ark of God really cool on several levels, one of them being that it is a crossover of my two favorite cartoonists. Thank you. I may have inadvertently created some comic book metaphysics. Yes, I don't think there's any may about it. I think you did. While reading Cerebus, I've been using my Wraith of God bookmark to mark my place. On your question about whether a revolver produces a flash, the answer is yes. I'll include a picture so you can see, although I didn't find how the flash compares to a 45. And it wasn't just about the revolver, it was about the um, period revolver, which it looks like that's what you've got here. That I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I would describe that as a muzzle flash. Um, I think there was a lot of wadding in bullet rounds at the time, and so you would see a lot more incinerated wadding than you would actually see a flash. As for your question about Bernie Wrightson, I couldn't find any interviews on the subject, so I asked Gary Martin. He's a brush inker and has done several recreation of his Frankenstein pieces. So he seemed like a good resource to ask. Yeah, I'd say that would qualify him. He doesn't think Bernie Wrightson did any retouching of his inks. Side note about Gary, he wrote an 8-book Christian comic series called Son of Samson. Sergio Carrillo, that's easy for you to say, was the artist on the books. Okay, that's interesting. I suspected that. Anytime that I'm trying to do Bernie Wrightson pen lines and Bernie Wrightson brush inking, it's when you get it, and it's like there's probably no better feeling in the world than that. But the percentage of times that you get it, that's where the Zen comes in. And it's, I wish I was able to do this a lot more frequently than I am. But on the rare occasions that it comes out, it comes out. In that category, I'd also put Charles Vess, the werewolf issue of Swamp Thing that Bernie Wrightson did, where most of it takes place in fog. That's another one of those effects where nobody quite does it like Bernie Wrightson did. But if anybody does, Charles Vess is the lead competitor in that category, and that kind of cross hatching, I would rather be trying to do an homage to that than trying to do just the thin Bernie Wrightson pen and brush lines. Bombardment is an apt description of how companies and people use music because it's one song after another. I agree that bombardment is a bad thing and a symptom of our out of balance world. We need quiet periods in life to reflect and think properly. I find it funny that we have the same solution for the unwanted song that pops into our head. I also pray about it, but my hymns of choice are Shall We Gather at the River, Joy to the World, and Jesus Loves Me. I would add to that one, particularly at this festive time of year, is In the Moon of Wintertime, which is that goes back to the 1600s, and that's a nativity song written by the Catholic missionaries for the Huron people in Canada and the northern United States. So if you're not familiar with In the Moon of Wintertime, when all the birds had fled, that mighty Gitche Manitou sent angel choirs instead. There's not a lot of real happy meeting points between the pagan and the monotheistic, but boy, that one's right at the top of my list, and it definitely kicks earworm butt. If you've got an inappropriate earworm stuck in your head, try In the Moon of Wintertime, and that'll get you off on the right foot. Before the questions and signing off, I wanted to add one more thing to help out with the Kickstarters. I am thinking of doing launch and closeout streams to try and spread the word. Again, I'm really, really old, and I have no idea what that is. Launch and closeout streams, but anybody listening to this who knows what April's talking about and goes, oh yeah, I know how to do that. The next time that we have a Kickstarter, it's looking like it's going to be the Spanish translation of the Studio Comics Press Spanish translation of Cerebus #1 and Spawn 10 is looking like the end of January. That'd be a good time to test that. That we want to go down all guns blazing on the Spanish translations in the hopes that we can keep doing that, and Studio Comics Press can keep doing that. Questions. Do you remember the first piece of fan art you received? No, I don't. You mean like as the creator of Cerebus, and a Cerebus fan sent me a drawing of Cerebus? I'm embarrassed to say that because you would think that you would remember the first piece of fan art that you ever got. Also, who was the first professional to do fan art of your characters? That's an easy one. That's Frank Thorne, and I'm sure Matt, you've got a good scan of the piece that he sent between issues 1 and 2 of Red Sonja and Cerebus, which I actually had the pleasure of copying. That's featured in issue #1 of Ninja High School Cerebus crossover, and I'll say no more on that. But that's at the meeting place of Red Sonja, Red Sophia, and Genius Tomb Raider Red Sophia, which is the Red Sophia of Earth Ninja High School. And is there a character that you'd like to see someone draw? Anytime a professional draws Cerebus, it's doesn't matter if they're a rookie, doesn't matter if they've been around for 50 years. It's always a pleasure, and it's always interesting that I go, he's not that difficult to draw, is he? because it's like that doesn't look remotely like my service. It's a nice service. They're all interesting services. What each person sees in service. The particular experience right now with Ben Dunn's services, which I actually worked into the storyline. It's like I keep erasing these and doing mine, but here's a page where I'm just going to ink Ben's because it's definitely a fun service, and then I'll just trace that and do 9 panels of super reality service, which is the Cerebus of World Earth Ninja High School. Number 2, when creating Cerebus or other comics like the Beavers, how much do you visualize mentally versus work out in a notebook or on the page? Are your mental images in color or black and white? It depends on what I'm working on. Again, using the example of the Ninja High School Cerebus crossover and Strange Death of Alex Raymond, both of which that I'm working on right now, and knock wood, I have been able to keep up a pace of doing 1 page of each um, per week. I find most of the time that because both of them I'm using the Qbert font, I will write the page in the Qbert font, picturing roughly what I want the page to look like, and typing the captions and the word balloons. And okay, I think this one's going to be a long, skinny caption. This one's going to be a large, square caption. And this is roughly what I wanted to say. And then printing that out and then lightly taping that to the page and going, okay, how much room does the page have now? And a lot of times it will be, okay, when I wasn't actually taping it to the page, I thought this should be this wide and this tall. No, I was lowballing the height and probably overshooting on the width. So, all right, let's reconfigure that caption and print out another copy, and sometimes another copy, going, okay, now this is it. This is what I was picturing in my head. This is how much space it will take up. And then at that point, when I draw the page, or when I'm working on a page that Ben Dunn has penciled, then it's usually a matter of, oh, okay, now that I'm reading it as a page, I'm reading this caption and then looking at this drawing, and then reading this word balloon and looking at this drawing, and then, this caption and this word balloon. This needs another word balloon. I didn't know that when I was just picturing it in my head, but now that they're all lightly taped to the drawing board, this needs another caption. This needs another word balloon. Or as happened yesterday with page 52, where I went, okay, this is too wide a narrative caption for Asriel, so I'll narrow it down. And then I narrowed it down and I went, no, it's not 1 caption, it's 2 captions. This part at the end, which is a subordinate quote, this has to be its own caption, and then that will make this caption work far better and dovetail and lead the reader from this panel, or from this caption into this caption more smoothly. I realized that A lot of people do that on computer. Um, if they're if they're drawing their comics, they draw their comics and then scan it in, and then it's easier to manipulate digitally. But I'm really not a computer technician. It's like, no, I want to do this by hand, and the only time that I let the computer play is when it does come to um, what do the captions say? Are they wide? Are they wider? Are they taller? Is this one caption supposed to be two captions? Number three, you mentioned being a smart ass in high school. What type of stunts did you pull? I didn't really pull stunts. I was a smart ass in the sense that I had a very sort of cutting wit, and having a cutting wit is something that you really don't want to be precocious about, because people are so uncertain of themselves in high school to begin with that someone with an adult withering sarcasm sense of humor, um, a lot of times just a formula joke. It's which, once I was out of high school, I learned to say it's a formula joke. It's a formula joke. I didn't mean that. It's just here's a punchline attached to that one. I remember the instance with Gary Groth saying, "I'm not as stupid as I look," and I went, "Oh well, nobody could be that stupid." Immediately went formula joke, formula joke. I don't mean that you look stupid. I do remember Joan Bryden in high school, who later went on to be a Southern newspaper reporter and had a very long and illustrious career as a reporter in Canada. And I remember her saying to me, it would have been in grade 11, um, no one likes you, Dave. And it's like, I went, I know that. And it's like, no, that was kind of a thunderclap thing. That was, no, I didn't know that. And from the way she was saying it, it's like, no one likes you. So it was good training for being the post issue 186 Dave Sim, where everybody in the comic book field could, in good conscience, stare into my eyes and say, no one likes you, Dave. So that'll do it, I think, for Please Hold for Dave Sim for December, here in December. So everybody have a happy and festive holiday season, and God willing, we will see you in the new year 2026.